Hi, I'm Tyson Franklin, and welcome to this week's episode of the Podiatry Legends Podcast, the podcast designed to help you feel, see, and think differently about the podiatry profession. With me today is Sarah Chisem from Knaresborough Podiatry. And
Well done.
I had to practice saying that name a few times. Now, this is interesting. Sarah started her working life as a law and language student because that's how most of us get into podiatry. But she ended up with a job in a high-end fashion retail and then had a flippant conversation with a podiatrist that made her reevaluate her career and retrain. So, Sarah, welcome to the podcast.
Good morning. Welcome. Thank you.
What an interesting way of ending up in podiatry.
I know. It's that working on my feet to working on other people's feet. That was my kind of strap line. Yeah, I think I'd worked in retail I'd looked for jobs in the law profession, the legal profession, but I hadn't wanted to be a solicitor. And I got my languages. I'd even lived abroad and studied abroad, doing French law for a year. But I just couldn't break into the job market. So the Saturday job that I got as a student offered me a management role when I graduated. So living in London, you can't live in London and coast without any money. So had to get some money in somehow, took the job and then moved around the country with them. Ended up working Harvey Nicks when they opened in Leeds, which is a well-known designer store in the UK. And then last job was Adidas, which is where I sort of started having my feet looked after by a podiatrist. And I remember just sitting there and chatting, and she said, well, I don't know why you don't think about doing it. You've asked me so many questions. What about thinking about doing something like this? And I was like, well, I don't know. I'm on my career path now. And how can I change? How can I do something else and be something else? I don't know how to do that. So I think I put it on the back burner for a bit, got pregnant, and then started thinking about, do I want to still be on the shop floor? Do I still want to be working Saturdays, Sundays, late nights? And then my husband at the time, he would be going to the park with my son, and he said, well, I feel like a single parent. I have all these ladies coming around me, and there's me as a single dad, so it seems, with my son. So I suddenly thought, right, I need to change this, and then looked into where what I could do. Started with...
How old were you at that time when this was all taking place?
32, which isn't that old, really, is it?
No, I look back at 32 now and I'm like, no.
No, that's the age I think I am now, not the age I am. And I looked into it and I didn't really know where to go with it. And I think that's a really important thing. And I think that's something that our college needs to work on. But I ended up training as a foot health professional because it worked for me. It worked around the fact that I could do it distance learning, and then I could go to the practical course and do that in a time that suited me and my family. And I was able to still work because I still needed an income. You can't just suddenly live and suddenly drop a lot of income if you've lived to a certain level in your life and you've got debts, mortgage, whatever.
Well, you have a lifestyle too that you've become accustomed to, and so your family.
I suppose that. I had a lifestyle. I had a champagne lifestyle with lemonade money anyhow. So that was working in high-end retail. You tend to buy the Gucci bag and worry about it afterwards. So, and then went into that and then started doing that, set up a business, started working, and suddenly thought, this isn't enough. This is great. I can do the nail cuts, I can do the hard skin, but I want to know more than this. I want to learn more than this. And I feel like I'm not getting this. Felt quite isolated as well. I think that was the other thing I felt, working for myself, very isolated in a world where I didn't know who to contact. And then I realised and was looking around, and that's when I actually applied to Huddersfield Uni to go back and do my podiatry. But they offered a part-time course, which absolutely fitted into everything for me. And that was it. That was the start. I went back by that time, I was about 36.
Yeah.
So went to uni as one of those annoying, mature students that I remember at 18 used
Yeah,
to
I do too.
absolutely get on my nerves because they did the work.
I know. I've said that numerous times on the podcast where I look back to when I was like 19, 20 going through, and we had these old students who were probably in their early 30s. And you're
Yeah.
thinking, you're almost retired. What are you doing here? And they used to annoy us because they'd actually all do really well in their exams and they would actually study. But you look back and you think, because they had commitments, this wasn't something that, hey, if I failed, I could easily just go and do something else. They had taken a chunk of time out of their life and made a conscious decision to do this. It wasn't something they just, I finished school, the next progression is going to uni. They had a life beforehand. So I actually take my hat off now to any mature age student of any age. I think it's impressive.
Well, I think that was the thing for me. I obviously then at that time my son was just starting school. I had like a tag team. I mean, I was very lucky that my mum lives nearby. My husband then, he was great. He had flexible working hours. So he would often do the drop off. I would get up about 6 o'clock in the morning and drive over to Huddersfield, which isn't the best of drives, if anybody knows the M62. And then I'd come back, pick Jack up from wherever I'd deposited him, bless him, and then do tea, do bedtime stories, homework, and then probably about 9 o'clock, I'd sit down and do my assignments. And there were times that I worked through the night, heard the dawn chorus, and knew that was probably time to at least have breakfast, if nothing else, and then drive into uni for lectures that day. I mean, the beauty of the part-time course, which I don't think Huddersfield do anymore, was that I was only probably in 2-3 days a week. So I could focus on those days, and then I had a little bit of time to breathe a bit. But yeah, I remember it was like, I'm putting something on the line here, and I'm giving up things, and my family are giving up things, and my friends are supporting me, and I have to get through this, and I have to get through this the best I can.
The part that's interesting about what you said then, and I just think it's important to highlight, is when you said about your son and then you just drop him off, you had to remember where you dropped him off to go and pick him up. How old is he now?
He's 22.
Okay. So did he end up deranged or is he fairly normal?
He's pretty normal.
The reason I think that's important though is I think that's really important because there's a lot of people who will say, oh, I want to do this, or I'm thinking about going to this conference, or I'm going to set up my own business, but they use their family and their kids as an excuse to not do something. Oh, geez, if I do that, I'm going to miss my daughter's 3-year-old birthday. Yeah. In the big scheme of things, your daughter's not going to remember it.
I think it's important to be present. I do think it's very important. When you're there, they need your focus. But I mean, my son's pretty independent. He's an only child, so he's very independent. He's just got a distinction in his master's in law. He's just having a second interview with a top law firm in London. So I'm not worried about him.
I think family is important and you need to make sure that they're looked after. But if they're looked after, don't use them as an excuse to not do things. If you don't want to do something, you just say, I don't want to do it. Don't use kids or partners as an excuse not to do something.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. I had to make some decisions that probably I wouldn't make top mother of the year award. But then again, I like to think I'm realistic mother of the year. So I mean, at the moment, Jack's at home. I'm trying to kick him out again. He's boomerang back. I actually got used to living on my own again for a while when he was at uni. So yeah, and he's done a little bit of work for me in the new clinic. So it's been really nice. He's been on reception for me, which a lot of the patients have loved because they've heard of this person in my life. And I have got patients that I've had with me since I started, they're like, oh, it's great to meet him finally. So I don't always have that home and work life together, but I think sometimes it's just nice to put faces and something like for people. You do have to be a person sometimes as well.
Yeah, well, we used to use our daughter Tia as a bit of a marketing tool, where we would have her in our TV ads that we were doing, and she used to put me in the clinic all the time. She'd be hanging around the place, and where she went to school was just up the road. So every afternoon she would come down after school and be doing her homework out the back, and she'd walk around the reception. She'd say hello to the patients, and all the ones that sort of just knew her over the years, she would talk more to them. She just became part of the furniture. And and now you bump into patients after I've sold the clinic, and they'll go, "Was that Tia dancing at the Cairns Taipans in the National Basketball League?" I went, "Yeah, she's a dancer, yeah, as well as doing pharmacy." And they're like, "Oh my God, she's grown up so much. Remember when she was this big running around the clinic?"
Yeah.
So it's fun.
And she's not affected. She's out there dancing, isn't she?
She just loves the limelight. The bigger the crowd, it'd be 5,000 people, and the bigger the crowd, the more she just absolutely loves it.
Yeah. And I think that's showing your son, for me, that as a woman, as a mother, I have a life and I have a career and I have goals in my life that I want to achieve. And that hopefully he would respect that in his partner. So it's about teamwork. And I think that was the key thing for me. It was about, I was very lucky, I had a good team around me and people supported me. I think they were grateful by the time I finished.
How long did it take to do that?
4 and a bit years with the dissertation. So yeah, okay. I didn't celebrate my 40th birthday. I celebrated my 40 and a half birthday.
But then, so when you were going through that, so you had a foot health practitioner business running on the side while you were actually studying. So you generated income from that.
Yes.
And then when you graduated, then you just convert the foot health practitioner business to a podiatry clinic.
Did. That was kind of hard. Well, I was doing a lot of home visits at that time as a foot health practitioner. So to suddenly go, well, I'm not a foot health practitioner, I'm a podiatrist, I'm upping my prices because I think I'm worth it. I've done all this studying. And then I was working in a clinic. So that was the easier change. That was easier to change because I'd bring in different treatment plans and treatment. So that was a little bit easier. The home visits I felt were harder. So I did reduce a lot of those down and moved on from that. So yeah, it definitely had to work on it with some patients. I had to sort of explain who I was and what I'd done. But the transition, it was good. And I was in a clinic with osteopaths, physios. So that was helpful because then they were referring more of their complex patients to me. And eventually I got confident about what I was doing. And I think patients were coming to me with referrals, which was, for me, it's always the way I like it. A personal or professional referral is just brilliant because they're already happy to come, if that makes sense. I always think they've got an expectation and they're like, yeah, okay, we're confident about coming.
I definitely think referrals from other patients, from other health practitioners, especially if they've written a cover letter that just says, "Tyson, help with this person. I've already just told them that they need to have orthotics. Can you just get it sorted out for them?" I used to love those letters.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they were always perfect. Nice.
So you had your clinic, you were sharing
I rented rooms within a multidisciplinary clinic for quite a long time. And it's only in the last 6 months that I've actually moved into my own place. And that was a little bit of an epiphany for me. I think I'd kind of just made my life a little bit easier and rented this room. And as I say, the multidisciplinary clinic was very well known. We, as practitioners, we'd all built up a very good reputation within our own businesses. So then people came to the main business, and there were about 3 of us that had worked together for nearly 20 years. And then there were a good 4 core therapists, really. And we had our own associates as well. So we worked within this clinic. And then one of my colleagues, one of the group, he actually bought the clinic off the chap that had owned it. And I could see him forging ahead with all these great ideas, and it was brilliant, but they weren't my ideas. And it was having your family, your big brother got a great job, and you're like, well, hang on a minute, what am I doing? And I actually took some time out last year. I took about 2 weeks out to paddleboard across the country, because that's what you do, isn't it?
I did hear about that. I
And
was talking to Jonathan Small the other day, and he said when Sarah is on the podcast, ask her about paddleboarding across the country.
yeah, England, I should say, shouldn't I?
Mm.
Yeah, Liverpool to Goole. And we travelled across the canal. It took us 10 days. I did it for charity. I lost a friend to gynecological cancer about 5 years ago, and I promised her then that I would be happy. That was the only promise she made me make to her, that you will be happy. And I felt, a friend of mine had said, well, I'd really like to paddleboard across the country. She said, no, nobody else. She said, there's about 8 people that have done it. So she said, what do you think about it? And we'd had a couple of glasses of rosé, and I was like, well, yeah, go on then, let's have a look at it. I'd only been paddleboarding about a year and a half or something, and that was like fair weather paddleboarding, and that was it. We planned it, and we took 2 weeks out, paddleboarded in the worst weather ever. I mean, we have 50-mile-an-hour winds some days. We got attacked by swans, and our partners followed us. They were the backup team. They followed us in our camper vans, and they'd be at the side of the canal with soup or snacks or a coffee. And when I say the side of the canal, I mean, we were talking about potentially, and excuse my French, but it like dog poo alley. It's not attractive. Coming out of Liverpool for the first 3 miles, we counted 18 shopping trolleys. There was rubbish everywhere. It's not pleasant. Anyhow, we did it, but in that time, I was able to reflect quite a lot. And it made me think about, right, I'm going to start looking for my own place now. I want to build up my own clinic. I'd already got 2 associates working with me, but we were having to juggle the days that we work, so we never got that flow.
Before you go on to that, back to the paddleboarding, because that's a pretty big deal. And I just point out to people,
that old thing.
10 days. If anyone's never paddleboarded, it is one, it's fun. It's more difficult than it looks until you retain your balance. We only went for the first time about a year ago. And the only part that put us off is as we're putting the paddleboards in, we're going past a big sign that says Achtung, crocodiles. And we're saying to the guy, why do they have crocodile signs? There's no crocodiles here. I go, well, why do they put the signs there? Well, in case there is crocodiles, but he's they'll be more scared of you than you are of them. And I'm like, okay. And it was, tell you, every time you fell off and landed in the water, man, you were back on that paddleboard pretty quick.
Yeah, no dangling your feet and enjoying yourself.
No, so I'll show you when we finish this. I'll show you a photo of us paddleboarding. So when you did the paddleboarding and you were doing it for these 10 days, you said you had a lot of time to think.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of times I take it you weren't. How many hours a day did you paddleboard for? And I take it while you were paddleboarding, you weren't just constantly talking the whole time. You did have a lot of time to really think.
Yes, self-reflection type.
Self-reflection, yes.
Yes, lots of me time. Well, half the time you couldn't hear each other because of the wind, but 8 hours. We were paddling for 8 hours a day, sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you can get a little bit where you don't want to speak to each other anymore. But,
and you go, whose idea was this?
Yeah, no. It was when Sarah, we were going through Leeds, and we had to join the River Aire. So obviously the Liverpool Leeds Canal finishes at Leeds. So you walk through an area where there's a lot of restaurants, there's a lot of cafes. So there's these 2 women walking through with their paddleboards in this wind with your boards swinging around. And we've got long boards. We've got quite long, narrow boards because we're fast now and experienced and professional paddleboarders. But we were going down onto the River Aire. Now, the River Aire comes through underneath the station. It's a weir, so it comes quite fast anyhow on a normal day. But having been raining for the last 8 days or whatever, and then the winds were quite whippy, this river was flowing at 8 miles an hour, which as a paddleboarder, you generally hit 3 miles an hour maximum if you're lucky. If you're a general paddleboarder, you actually can paddle as fast as somebody walking.
Okay.
So 8 miles an hour is pretty much like speedy for us. So I looked down and was like, no, and she looked at me and she said, I know, she said at that time, I knew you were going to go, I'm not doing this. I'm not getting down there. That's just stupid. And she looked at me and she went, right, I'm going down, get down there in a minute and I'll see you at the bridge. And that was it. I had no way of going, no, I'm not doing this. I'm turning around. So we literally clung onto our boards, which I wouldn't recommend. And it's not something that I would be proud of. There's no way I would want somebody to come in to rescue me because of something I was doing and put their lives at risk. But we knew we could get to a certain point because we'd done that route a few times. But yeah, that was quite hairy. I've never clung onto my board as much, and I certainly didn't stand up for that one.
So when you got through the 10 days, how'd it feel when you knew you reached your destination? You've looked back and reflected on the whole 10 days of actually doing that. What did it actually feel like?
Amazing. Amazing. It gave me that whole feeling that I can do anything. That when I was at 54 last year.
Yeah.
So 54, menopausal woman, what am I doing with my life? My kids left home. I've got a bit of a plan. I've got a bit of an idea. It's like, yeah, I can do these challenges. I can do things. And I think that then filtered into my work life, that what are you doing? Is this what you want to do? Because if it's not, you can do something else. And that not necessarily, I love podiatry, so that wasn't going to be the problem. It was like, why are you not happy at this moment in time with where you are? Right, look for a clinic because you can do this. So that was what really started me off looking for some premises of my own then.
So now it's been 6 months since you've moved out on your own?
6 months, yeah. Thankfully, I've got a very good partner who's a plumber, and he did he put me stud walls up, he made me a 2-room clinic. He took a week off work just to do everything for me. So I'm very lucky because I couldn't have done all that on my own. And it's great. And we've got 2 rooms. I've now, hopefully today, I'm about to meet another podiatrist that might come and join us. So I actually have 2 podiatrists and then myself, and then 2 foot health professionals, which I like that mix because I've got the foot health professionals. I know not every podiatrist does like a foot health professional, but the 2 ladies I've got are mature ladies. They do regular CPD. They work within their level. They work within their knowledge. They ask for help if they need it. And, it works for me in my business model. It means it frees me up to do a lot more of the more high-end, high-risk treatments and a lot more of the MSK work.
I know some podiatrists feel threatened by them, but I'm thinking if you feel threatened by a foot health practitioner, then you've really got to question your own skills and your level of skill in. And I'm sure the people that complain the most are probably the same people that you've never seen at a conference, never do any continuing education. They might tick the boxes and fill in some paper and say, oh yeah, I read those articles. I've done the work. But I reckon anybody that has been in the profession long enough who's picked up their skills as they've gone along the last 10, 20, 30 years should have no fear of a foot health practitioner because your skill level should be so far ahead of where they are that it shouldn't be a concern. And if your work is actually matches exactly theirs and that's all you're doing, then maybe you're a foot health practitioner with a title.
It's a difficult one, and it's very emotive in the UK. I probably wouldn't want to go down sort of a discussion with that because
Yeah.
it's so hard. It's so hard. And I get it. There's people working, and the general public don't understand the difference. But like you said, it's about you showing the difference as well. And I make it very clear within the clinic that you're seeing a foot health professional. I make sure my receptionists are aware of the difference. We've got it on the website that what the difference is. So we're trying to highlight that and educate our patients. Around where I live, I'm in a big group of podiatrists and foot health professionals. We actually have a Harrogate group, and we share patients. If somebody rings wanting a patient and I'm busy, I'll say, well, such and such, so, Harrogate Podiatry, they might have some appointments this week. And we're very open and very inclusive. And that's great because that got us all through lockdown.
Yeah.
And we were all, when we came out of lockdown, we were absolutely struggling to fit patients in. And I was just so busy. I was shutting the books for people, but people were desperate. So having this big group meant we were able to help each other and support each other and direct patients to another clinic where they could see somebody. And having the foot health professionals was great because they took up quite a few of the patients when they could work again that we couldn't see. Yeah, so they have a place in my clinic, definitely. And the two ladies that work for me are, as I say, they've developed their skills in the last sort of year working with me. So that's a good thing. But as I say, they stick with what they know, and it gives me that opportunity for me to grow. So
Yeah, and I think what you said before too, it's up to the podiatrist to differentiate themselves from what a foot health practitioner is through educating their patients. And this is just my belief, and some people may disagree with me, but I think every podiatrist should understand biomechanics. They just should understand, even if you don't like biomechanics, you don't have to like it. But because I say, can you imagine going to a GP? You go in there, oh, I just need to get an exam. Yeah. He doesn't take your blood pressure. You go, how come you not take my blood? Oh, I don't like doing blood pressure. I was never really any good at it, so I'm not going to do it. You go, oh, I go, oh, so you're going to write a script for a blood test? No, I'm not really into blood tests either because I've never really understood what all the figures and everything meant, so I'm just not really into it. You would go somewhere else. You would just leave because you'd be thinking, these are the basics that you expect your GP to understand, know, and just do. Don't have to like it, but you just do it. And I think biomechanics is one of those things that every podiatrist should understand it. You don't have to love it, but you should have at least an understanding of it. And that's, so when you are debriding a corn or callus, you can be talking to your patients about why it's there, how it develops, a little bit about their foot type. Now, if you don't want to do the assessment, do orthotics if you're not interested, then have a good relationship with another podiatrist who is prepared to do that. If more than likely, they'll refer some of their general work back to you.
yeah, it is about that. And that's, as I say, that's what works for us within the Harrogate area. There's probably about 12 of us. And it's like, well, so-and-so, that's what they do. That's pediatrics, that's their specialty.
Yeah.
I know about it, but do I need to go deep into that? No, because there is somebody that specialises. Give them that opportunity. But yeah, I mean, I do agree. I had a lady that came in yesterday on the form that I send out. How can we help you? Fungal nails. Right. Okay. So we're looking. No, I said, personally, don't think that is. Think it's trauma.
Yeah.
Okay, why? Why is the trauma? So then we looked at the biomechanics of it, and it wasn't a full assessment, but it was just, right, let's have a look at you. Let me show you why it's this. And that just helps, I think, with your treatment plan. And also, yeah, that knowledge to say to a patient, no, it's not that, it's because of this.
Yeah.
And they're like, wow, that I came in for this. She's talked to me about this, and now I understand about how I can move forward with this problem that I wasn't even going to mention. And I think that's really important because it's showing them that we're not just there cutting your nails.
Well, to me, it's no different. Somebody comes in for orthotics. They've got problem with their ankles. They come in, they want a biomechanical assessment, you get orthotics because they've heard you're awesome and that's why they're going to get it done. And then while you're looking at their feet, you're going, there's something about these feet that don't look right. So you start checking the pulses, the temperature, the feeling. You will do all the other stuff. So they might come in for a biomechanical problem. And I think every podiatrist in the sports and biomechanics should also understand what a high risk foot looks like, or questions to ask about diabetes, and being able, whether you're doing a Doppler exam, they're prepared to do that. So I think it should go back the other way. And I agree. I had a patient this many years ago, came in, we did orthotics for her. I noticed that she had a few corns and calluses on her feet. And I said, oh, by the way, just to let you know that we do provide this routine foot care service. She went, oh, no, that's okay. My other podiatrist does that. I went, oh, who's your other podiatrist? And she told me who it was. And I went, okay. I said, I'm confused now. Why did you come here to get your orthotics? Oh, no, I'm sure she's not qualified to do that type of work. Now, her and I went through podiatry. We were in the same year together. So here is someone with this lady has been seeing this other podiatrist for years, routine foot care. Not once has she ever brought up anything about biomechanics, looking at her feet in a different way, asking a question. What do your feet like when you get out of bed in the morning? No, nothing like that. She was talking to a friend and said, my feet get sore. Oh, you should see my podiatrist. They do these assessments. They make these inserts that go into your shoes. And that's how we ended up with her. I just think if you're missing out on a lot of work if you don't do the biomechanical side. But if you don't want to do it, get better at just understanding it. So at least you can, because if my podiatry colleague had said to her, oh, I don't do that type of work, but I'll refer you to someone that I went to university with, her and I would have had a much better working relationship.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. I mean, I've sat there and I've talked to patients about things, and then, and I make sure they're aware of what we do. And you will still get that one patient that, oh, well, I went on my cruise ship and I got my insoles.
Oh, yes.
So it's a slight frustration. But you'll still get maybe one of your regulars that said, oh, well, I just, I felt like I needed some orthotics. So I said, well, who told you that?
Yeah.
Well, they stepped me on a thing and apparently I pronate.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
I think every routine foot care patient that comes into your podiatry clinic who has any hard skin on the bottom of their feet, I think the right thing to do is to do, even if it's a quick biomechanical assessment on every routine patient. Explain to them why you're doing it. And then every time you're then doing routine foot care on them, you can ask the question, what do your feet like when you get out of bed in the morning? How's this been feeling? And you're talking about that instead of about what cake they baked last week and how the weather is. At least they'll understand you're an intelligent person. Podiatrists are intelligent. We do more than what they actually just see.
Yeah. One of the things that was interesting for me is going back to the paddleboarding, because people are aware of me and who I am, I ended up getting quite a lot of paddleboarding people coming with foot problems. So
that's cool.
that was a good way. I set up an Instagram with Paddleboarding Pod, and I got quite a few people asking me, about feet, because that's also an issue. But yeah,
you still got that Instagram page going, Paddleboarding Pod?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's growing.
Okay, well, there you go. Everyone go and check out Paddleboarding Pod and start following it. You get a couple hundred more people.
_54.
Okay, paddleboarding. Is it paddleboard or paddleboarding?
Paddleboarding Pod _54.
There you go. I'm going to go and check that out. I will be joining as soon as I finish this.
I've been a bit quiet recently. I've been on an extreme weekend to Marrakesh. So,
but that's it. The good part about that, though, is like you were at my marketing masterclass in Liverpool.
Yeah.
And one of the things when we were talking about social media, I said, you've got to find something that's unique about you that you can share with your patients to make your patients go, oh, I didn't know you did that. No, I didn't even know you did paddleboarding until I was talking to Jonathan 2 days ago, and he brought it up. And I actually had a note down, make sure I talk about paddleboarding. But see, that is exactly what I was talking about in the masterclass, was find something that is unique, that could be interesting to patients, and you start sharing that, and all of a sudden you become the Paddleboarding Pod _54.
Yeah. Well, I am trying, certainly working on it. It definitely, as I say, has brought a few patients to me. So it's not a bad way. But I mean, it's interesting for me to think about, I mean, we were talking about the foot health, and that's how I started my career. And I kind of want to say that I don't think it's a bad thing. It was just I didn't know what else to do and how else to get into the profession.
Yeah.
But I think it's about moving and learning and being a mature student. Yeah, you are a little bit more pokey. You've got less time. You've got more at stake to give up that time. But I certainly think if somebody is thinking about what should I do, is this a good profession to go into? Absolutely. I mean, it's given me the most amazing opportunities. Given me, it's given me confidence. It's given me money. That's not everything, but it's also given me a profession. And I think that's really important. It's nice to have an identity. And I've got maybe another 10 years. It'd be nice if it were less, but I have a feeling it will be another 10 years. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm ready to face those next 10 years. I'm changing my business a little bit. I'm trying to work less in the business. I only work 3 days. I'm trying to work less than that, if you can call that working. But got to start somewhere, I think, is the thing. And you've got to have just trust in yourself and move forward.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things. I actually like when people ask me, "Oh, to hire somebody you do," and I still say I'm a podiatrist, and I actually like saying it now. But I must admit, in 1988, when I graduated, and people say, "What do you do?" and I go, and they go, "What's that?" I go, because people would just go, "Oh, a chiropodist." I go, "No, I'm not a chiropodist. I'm a podiatrist," and it was just always having to explain myself. Nobody knew what it was. But now, I don't know, the profession has improved. It's got out of sight to what it was. Like I look back at what it was when I graduated to what it is now. Why anyone would want to leave, just I do not understand. It makes no sense.
I know. I think there is, though, that, I mean, a lot at the conference this year, there was talk about the burnout, and the conference, the feel of the conference was very much about self-care, mental health, which is absolutely key. I think the big thing is, though, it's getting that work-life balance in life with everything, isn't it? With everything. And so for me, I do try and have that with the paddleboarding. That switches me off completely from anything else, or it gives me a bit of time to think about and reflect. And I think that's what I needed at the time. That's how I got into it. And obviously, I've gone a bit further than most people would have done. I mean, 160 something miles is pretty stupid, but it's my work-life balance, and that's my import. And I think that's, if you can find that helps. It's not easy. I got divorced, and I had to bring the income in for me. So I worked as much as I could, but tried to still be that part-time in a way, to have that time with my son. I mean, it's never part-time, is it? You're working whether you're not actually at that interface, at that patient-facing part. You're doing your admin, or you're thinking about your CPD, or you're training in something that is new, or your marketing, or whatever. But it is trying to have that balance and make sure that it doesn't consume you completely.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point too, because I see, and when I did my talk, happiness and achievement are independent variables. And one of the things I spoke about was the hungry ghost, that when we're setting our clinics up, we don't have enough patients, we get unhappy, and then we have just the right amount of patients. Everything's going great. We've got the right number coming through. We're charging the right amount. We're making money. We're paying our bills. We're taking a few holidays. Everything's really good. And then the hungry ghost takes over and we want more. And then all of a sudden we're seeing too many patients. And I think that it's at that point where, like you're talking, the work-life balance gets out of whack, where you're working more, you're not giving any time to yourself. And then you start getting that whole thing, oh, I'll be happy when I get another podiatrist, then I'll be happy. And it's just this perpetual thing. So I think what you're talking about, that just, I don't know, finding that work-life balance, finding things that make you happy each day, and don't lose sight of that. Don't burn yourself out. It's not worth it. See, these are two mature people talking here. This is why anyone younger listening to this, and you know what, I used to, when I was younger, when I was in my 20s and I was a podiatrist, and I'd hear an old fart like me talking, and I'd be going, oh my God, yeah, whatever. Because I think, well, it's fine for you to say that because you're almost in your grave. So of course you're reflecting a life now. And now I am that old fart that I used to bag.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I still make mistakes. I still need to hear stuff. I still need people to say, that's really stupid. Why did you do that? And generally it comes from the 22-year-old son. But I need that. But I mean, I thought at 20 something, I knew everything. And I probably did at that stage. I knew everything that I needed to know at that time of my life. I think looking back now, I knew absolutely nothing, really. But I still don't know it all now, and I don't profess to know it. And I get days where I get that imposter syndrome. I have days where I'm thinking, my God, what am I talking about? And then all of a sudden you get this confidence streak where you're seeing a patient and you're doing all your biomechanicals and it's like, yeah, we're going to do this with you, and it's working. And it's hard in a profession that there's a lot of knowledgeable people in this profession. And I think when I came into it, I felt very lacking and very sort of, gosh, you know, I don't know this, I don't know that. So and so's really confident. I haven't got a clue. But as I say, get those imposter days. But I think you've got to just work through. And one of my friends who's a very good surgeon, I said to him at the beginning, I said, I don't know it. I don't know everything. And he went, you're never going to know everything, Sarah. He said, I don't know everything. He said, I know a lot, but he said, I know where to find everything.
Yeah,
and so do you.
That's the difference. Yes.
And he said, that's the difference. You know where to find everything. And I think with maturity comes that, okay, it's the experience, but also it's that experience of the fact that if you fail or if it doesn't work, there's another way of doing it.
I think that's what happens too, is that the longer you're in the profession, which is why I really encourage people to go to events that are going to float your boat. Not necessarily like we've got the Australian Podiatry Conference coming up. And I'm not a huge fan of the national conference. There's not enough practical stuff that takes place at the conference. But there's a lot of smaller conferences around, like the Lower Limb Conference, the Foot and Ankle Show in the UK. Where even when I put on like a small marketing event in Australia, I do the 2-day reboot. Come along to those things where you can just really get together with a smaller group of people and really connect with them. You end up with some of the smartest podiatrists on your speed dial that become friends of yours. And you have a question about something. Like if I have a dermatology question, bang, I'll be straight on to Ivan Bristow. Ivan, what do you think about this? And if it was a sports question or a biomechanics question, I know who I'd call to actually get the answer. So I think that relates back to like what you're saying, just about as you get older, you just know where to look to find the answer. You don't have to know it all.
No,
there's not enough room up here to store it.
The Rolodex is full. Yeah. My Rolodex is very full. I mean, ask me about handbags and shoes. I can tell you anything, but you know, there are times.
That's all.
That's another story.
I know. Ask me about 80s television sitcoms. And I'm just all that. Ask me questions about the Brady Bunch and Gilligan's Island. I will kill it. But
no, that's it. I mean, I can sing pretty much every lyric to every song in the 1980s. There are some days I'm sat with a patient and I don't know whether this is menopause or whether this is just too much information trying to come out of my mouth at one time. And I cannot remember the word for, like a hyperextended or metatarsal. And it's like that bone there.
That one. But I've had some people on this podcast who, when people hear their names, just go, oh my God, they've almost got statues built for them. And off air, when we've stopped recording, and I've said to a few of them, do you ever suffer from imposter syndrome? They go, oh my God, constantly. They go, and these are people that have written books. They have spoken all around the world, that if all of a sudden they were turning up at a conference, they would get hundreds of people just turning up for it because of their name. And they have all said they suffer from imposter syndrome. They go, oh, geez, I hope someone doesn't find out I don't really actually know that much.
That's good. I think it makes you think about where you go next, what you need to learn. And you're not perfect. So you constantly thinking about, well, how can I improve? What can I learn? What can I do? So it's not a bad thing either.
Well, if you couldn't keep learning, they wouldn't keep putting conferences on. They've been doing it for the last 36 years since I've been around. So obviously there's a purpose of having conferences and events.
Mine's more to go, I write it all down, I go away and I remember probably 10% of it. So mine's like to try and build up, to get that 100% of a conference that I can remember. So
you'll never remember. But when you went to a masterclass, you said you applied something and pretty much made your money back the next day.
Yeah, absolutely. It was fantastic for me. And it just hit the right buttons for me that I needed at that time. I wanted to improve on some of the machinery I got in terms of using it. So my shockwave, my laser, getting that out there a little bit more. And literally within a day or two of coming back, I put up a few posts on social media. I made sure I talked about it a bit more to patients. And like you say, the existing patients, and they were booking in people that I just didn't even think would book in. I had people booking in for certain courses because they said, oh, actually, I've been meaning to ask you about this. And I wondered if you'd be able to do something. And that was it. Fantastic. And I've set up a podcast for the local businesses in town, because the next 6 months are going to be tough. They are tough for the businesses, national insurance wise, wages. These people are running businesses on next to nothing in a local town. And I just want to put something back into the town as well. But obviously, part of that is we're still getting that awareness of who we are and where we are, because we're sponsoring it. So it's hopefully a win for everybody. And we've just had a Christmas film filmed in the town as well. So with Rebel Wilson and Keeper Sutherland. And the podiatry clinic did actually hopefully had a little tiny cameo role on it. And again, so Knaresborough itself, come Christmas, is going to be inundated with tourists, I hope.
Well,
we tend to find that. So it's trying to build on it now.
You'll be the next Notting Hill. I can say I knew Sarah when.
Bagsy not coming out in my underpants. So it's actually working within your town as well, and the town supporting. And I've always been very much about support local. And so the great thing is, of supporting local, they will go, oh, well, no, the first person to go and see is Knaresborough Podiatry, go and see them. Have you got a problem? So hopefully that will make that connection for me within all of the local businesses anyway, as well as helping promote them and helping promote the town. So
I'm looking forward to the Christmas movie.
I love Christmas.
I do.
I'm as bad as the last one.
I'm a tragic Christmas movie person. It's terrible.
I think
as soon as it hits 1st of December, my wife and I, we just watch Christmas movies every night all the way up to Christmas. And some of them you sit there and you go, oh, these are so bad. Some of them are just so bad.
They're
and occasionally they pull out one that you go, oh, that was actually a really good movie. Usually about 1 in 10 will be really good.
Yeah, well, this one should be good. This one will be good. If you want to watch a bad one that was filmed in town, Very Yorkshire Christmas, that is really bad. If
Very
you want
Yorkshire Christmas. Oh, okay.
Very Yorkshire. Lose 2 hours of your life.
and never
The
get it
views are
back.
fantastic. The views are stunning, but the accents are just atrocious.
It was funny.
Yeah.
After I got back from the UK and I traveled around with Jonathan Small, I watched this movie on the plane coming back. And it was about somebody who toured around with somebody from the UK. And everywhere where Jonathan took me was in this movie where they took them.
Oh.
But the guy was a serial killer. And I'm
Oh,
thinking,
hang on, which one did you get? Was it Shaun of the Dead?
no, it wasn't Shaun of the Dead.
Ah.
It was a new movie that's just come out. And after I watched it, I'm thinking, I am so glad I did not watch this movie on my way over, because everywhere where these people took everyone was exactly where Jonathan Small took me. And I would be going, okay, Jonathan, now I'm going to start watching where your hands are. I'll have to find the name of the movie, and I'll dig it up.
Goodness.
I'll put it in the show notes so people can find the movie. And I keep forgetting to tell Jonathan about it. So before we wrap up, if anyone wanted to reach out to you and say, hey, Sarah,
Paddleboard.
loved your episode, or they just wanted to talk to you in general, ask any questions, what's the best way of getting hold of you?
Probably the best way is through the clinic email. That's info@knaresborough.podiatry.co.uk.
Okay, I'll put that in the show notes for everybody to find. So, Sarah, I want to thank you for coming on the podcast. This has been fun. I've spoken to you a lot lately. This is
I know.
I know.
I mean,
I feel like we're old friends now.
Yeah, no, I know you too well now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no,
So,
I would like to thank you as well, because obviously your marketing masterclass just honestly it switched something in me that I think just hadn't, in terms of the marketing side. I'll qualify that, but it was just what I needed. I was like, where do I go now? I've done this. I've had that amazing, like, opened a new clinic and the buzz from that, and it's like, right, okay, I've got it now. I've got the clinic. I've got this. Where do we go from here? And it hit the right note for me. It hit the right levels. It's things I can do. It's manageable. And I've got a team meeting today with my receptionist, and we're going to talk about marketing strategies. I wouldn't have done that. A few months ago. I'd have just thought something and shoved it on Facebook quickly. So I'm now planning.
That's good.
Thank you.
No, thank you. I didn't know you were going to say that, but I'm glad you did. So everyone listening
You're
to this,
welcome.
go to my website, tysonfranklin.com, click on events, and if there's a marketing workshop coming up near you, register and come along to it. So, okay, Sarah, thank you very much.
All
and
right.
I look forward to talking again soon.
Oh, take care. Bye-bye. Bye.